of Amani Congress Party, none other than Musalia Mudavadi. Karibu, makofi.
Mutongoria, mwega kweliro magana iguru kwa Ngai. Emwitirie maguta. Kenya yothe, riu theri ni moneku. Mudavandia, tuike mutongoria witu. Kenya yothe, riu theri ni moneku. Mudavandia, tuike mutongoria witu. ANC, ithe turenda thayo. Kenya yothe, Mudavadi tutongorie. ANC, tuthure maendeleo. Mudavadi ni mutongoria mwendi andu. ANC, tuthure maendeleo. Mudavadi ni mutongoria mwendi andu. Engineer Maina wa mae kinya domererie Kenya yothe.
Asante sana. Okay. Can you applaud that team on my behalf? Thank you so much, ANC fraternity. Thank you so much. Now, let me start by acknowledging the leadership of the Mount Kenya Foundation, who have taken an extraordinary step in the current political dispensation to bring together Kenyans and parties for serious dialogue. Chairman Munga, Vice Chair Ibui, the directors, and all others who are associated with Mount Kenya Foundation, well done. This initiative is important because it is introducing a new way of interacting, a new way of sieving the leadership that Kenya is going to get. And finally, this process can lead to a very united nation. And I want to take this early opportunity to tell other stakeholders in this country, whether they are at the coast, whether they are in Western Kenya, whether they are in the Rift Valley, whether they are in Eastern Kenya, whether they are in Northern Kenya, let us borrow a leaf from the Mount Kenya Foundation in ensuring that there is proper dialogue without stone throwing, without jeering, but people listening to what others have to say. We want Kenyans to be persuaded by logic and not by the might of the gun or by the might of the stone. This is what we are looking for. As we move to the end of Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure, we must ask ourselves a few fundamental questions. Who can you trust? Who can you trust? And I repeat, who can you trust with the leadership of this country? Examine us. How many of us respect the rule of law? How many of us will make sure that if Munga has won his election we shall respect the will of the people. We must ask ourselves, who can you trust that given a position of authority, that individual, he or she, will not in any way misuse the office to visit hell and trouble on other Kenyans because they believe there's a grudge to settle? These are the questions that Kenyans want answered. And they cannot be answered if everybody is not being given space to communicate and articulate their ideas. So I stand here, and the first message is that let us not vote in fear. Whether it is for or against, let us develop a culture where we shall not vote in fear. If we respect constitutionalism, if we respect the rule of law, then nobody has anything to fear. And I want to guarantee to you that the leadership you are seeing in this room does not elicit fear on anybody. And we are not here to sell fear. So we must ask ourselves, what are the real challenges facing us? What are the real challenges facing us? My colleagues have spoken to some of them. But basically, right now, as we move forward, the economy is going to be a big challenge. And I've been speaking to this severally. Do we have a huge public debt? If there's anybody here who does not believe that we have a big public debt, then I don't know where you're living. We have it. So let's work together, put good leadership, and find a solution to that public debt. If we do not, it will consume us. That is why taxes are there, and they're increasing at a higher level. Because the burden is big. Munga might now have to shed off some of his staff. Ebui may have to do the same. And indeed, COVID accelerated a lot of problems. Almost 2 million Kenyans lost their jobs. What do we do to give energy to Munga to bring back the ones he had to send home, or Ibui, and at the same time give him energy to employ even more? That is where we should be looking. The linkage between Mount Kenya Foundation, and I want to speak to this, the linkage between Mount Kenya Foundation and the other people, we should find a way of bridging this gap. Because there are almost 20 million small and medium enterprises in this country. Those are the juakalis, those are the small traders. Why do they feel they want to resent us? Or they want to resent Mount Kenya Foundation when you should not be resented? It is because somewhere along the line, and the truth be told, some policies have been put in place and they have injured those people, and they tend to look at Mount Kenya as the ones who have hit them. If the Gikomba trader, through the spirit of Harambee or cooperation, were sharing a container under the principle of the less than container load arrangement, And we sit at the treasury and we put a law that says they cannot cooperate, they can only bring in one container. If not, they are not in business. Gentlemen, who is creating resentment? Why are we setting up some of our people against other hard-working Kenyans? We should not allow this to happen. And that is what One Kenya stands for. We must embrace the big industrialist and also embrace the small business person. We must work together so that the pride of Mount Kenya can come back. And what pride am I talking about? Because their pride is Kenya's pride. When a farmer would pay school fees for the child, son or daughter, anaenda kusoma, analipa kwa sababu amepata pesa ya kutosha kutoka maziwa, pesa za kutosha kutoka majani chai, pesa za kutosha kwa kahawa, analipa, and that farmer would be proud and say, mimi nimesomesha mtoto wangu bila basari. Can you imagine that dignity? Mimi nimesomesha mtoto wangu bila basari. Right now, there are legislators here, and you must ask them just one question. If you were to put a benchmark, wouldn't it be interesting to say that this year I had a queue of 100 applicants for bursary, but because the economy has improved, now I have received only 50 applicants, which means you are reducing the queue of those who are dependent. That is where we should be going. What can we do collectively? Borrowing from Equity Bank and others. What can we do to make sure that businessman in Kikomba, in Nyeri, in Meru, can have access to credit at a low interest rate so that they can feed themselves? This is the connection that seems to be missing between us and the ground today. This is why somebody is finding fertile ground to give a false impression that they have instant coffee solutions for those Kenyans who are suffering. The reality is, he does not have instant coffee solutions. They're not there. So we have to work. Kibaki said, we want a working nation. And he also said, obey the law. Whenever he was supposed to make a speech, and I remember that one, it was basically a one-liner speech when people were not obeying the law. Kibaki just sent a message and said, obey the law. And it was a headline. Full stop. I want to do something a little bit extraordinary here. Forgive me for this. But I want to request Gibson Githumbi, if you could just come here. He's a member of the Mount Kenya Foundation. There's a very special reason why I'm requesting him to come here. Because I want us to debunk the message that the Mount Kenya Foundation is a billionaires club. I want people to understand that people have worked to get where they are. This gentleman here was my prefect in Nairobi School. Had a kiosk. From that kiosk, Gibson was never sent away because his father had failed to pay school fees. Right now, Gibson is a big contractor in this country. Ongata. We want to achieve a thriving nation. This is what we want to achieve. So we must change and make sure that farmers are paid promptly for their produce. The agenda that we should be talking about as a country. At the end of the day, they underpin each other. So for us to have peace, let us create jobs for people. For us to have peace, let the boda get the right return from his work. This is what we are going to do. Let everybody get what is rightfully theirs. I had Mugo, who we were in Laikipia with Twitter. He made a point. We want peace. I was in Baruch, in Nakuru, in a village on the hill. Actually, it's an IDP camp. Only 2 weeks ago. After the conflict, 13 years later, not everybody has gone back to their shamba. I came across ladies who are asking me, we don't know who even picks our tea in Baruch. And there are similar cases of this nature. We must have a clear agenda to make sure that we can restore hope in the lives of these people. These, ladies and gentlemen, are the messages that we want to put across. Let us eliminate violence at election time. And Weta was right. It is true. Through the Kofi Annan talks, I would say that you people of Mount Kenya, you have a solid lady in Martha Karua. Because as I was team leader on the other side, she was team leader on the other, and you guys, she's a tough negotiator. She doesn't blink. We want leaders that will not blink. We want leaders that will work with integrity. If Mount Kenya is as populous as we know it is, when it is resource allocation, let the resource allocation reflect that population. Let it reflect it. And equally, if there are challenges in other parts of the country, let us also find a way of compensating those extra challenges that may be in other parts of the country, so that everybody gets a fair chance. Let us make our judiciary work. Let justice be delivered on time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what One Kenya stands for. This is what we stand for. In 1982, there was the coup attempt. And some of us, at least I was one of them, we were rounded up. In a very strange way. A white Land Rover drove to Mululu at my mother's home, And in that Land Rover, there were about 5 well-fed men, hefty ones, who came in and they told my mother, "We want your son. He's actually a very good boy." This was at the university. And we'll bring him back. These guys took me away, and my mother never saw me for another 2 weeks. But I'm revisiting this because it is important that Kenyans also know that when there was that crisis, for 1 week before I found myself in Mululu, when my uncles were scared of taking me in because my father was in Mexico on duty, they were saying, "Just try and find your own way out." I actually went through courtesy of a friend of mine who we were in school with, called Mukundi Wahome from Odhaya, and his father, Gideon Wahome, allowed me to stay in his house for 1 whole week in hibernation. That tells you that never go ethnic, never profile ethnically, because I was saved and hidden by somebody from Mount Kenya in Othaya when the chips were down and my own uncles were hiding. The message here is that we are one people. Let us hold hands and pull each other together. Let us change Kenya together. You cannot second guess Uhuru on matters of infrastructure in this country. You can't. He has done an extraordinary job. However, when I was in Meru, my Meru friends told me, when you go back to Nairobi and you have a chance to talk to Uhuru, tell him we are a little bit disturbed because the Mau Mau roads have not yet been completed on this side of Meru, but they are moving very well on the other side. And the Meru, our eastern side, also fought for our independence as Mau Mau. So basically, Rome cannot be built in a day. But here was a message that people are yearning for more development. Let us make Kenya stable so that we can also complete the Mau Mau roads on the other side of the mountain. And also roads in other parts of the country. The lady said, water is life. In fact, if I recollect, I think it was a message written by Jomo Kenyatta somewhere, that water is life. Let us also remind Kenyans that his or her vote is also life. We have reached a stage where the vote is also life. Siasa mbaya. Gideon, I know you have the rights to that one. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. So let us move. My final message to the young people. I'll request, with your indulgence, that just 2 young people come here. One is called Kamau Gikuru, and the other is Mungare. It will come. Let me say this. because there was even a young girl who said that she had not found a partner yet. Maybe I've brought two partners here very close to you. Okay, why do I bring these two young men here? Because I want to send a very clear message that we as elders, and I'm talking as an elder in their context, not in the context of our PC or Munga, but in the context of these young men. Why I am bringing them here is because our experience should not be used to suppress the youth. We should not constantly remind the youth that wewe ni kijana, wewe ni mtoto. No. Let us bring them into the fold. Gikuru here is the Secretary General of ANC party. He is from Muranga. This other gentleman, Mungare, is from Nyamira, Kisii. He is head of our ICT and digitization matters in the party. If you want to work with the youth, give them responsibility. Let us not pontificate and keep on saying, your time is tomorrow. No, their time is now. Thank you. So, in conclusion, I repeat to the Mount Kenya Foundation, when you go home, ask yourself, who can you trust? Who can you trust? When you sleep, who can you trust? If you're a businessman in Nairobi and you're a landlord, how do you feel when your houses have been occupied and you have never gotten restitution for those houses? These are the questions. Who can you trust? Who can you trust? Who can you trust? Who can you trust? God bless Mount Kenya Foundation, and let us work together.
Tuike mutongoria witu Kenya yothe riu theri ni munekui Mudavadi tuike mutongoria witu ANC ithe turenda thayu.
All right. Let's wind up. Before I give up the microphone, may I just recorrect on two issues after all that. Two issues. One of them is, why is Mount Kenya agitated? Mount Kenya is agitated, Cyrus Jirongo, because we are not going to field our own candidate. And we know we are exposed for reasons we have given. Number two, I want to tell you, we have done statistics. The economy of Rwanda, Burundi, and Southern Sudan cannot match the economy of Mount Kenya region. And yet, we the governors of Mount Kenya, the 11 governors, we cannot be able to give our kids, brilliant university kids, more than 10,000 from bursary, because we are not getting our fair share. When Ramu is giving 100,000, Wambora is giving 10,000 or 5,000. That cannot continue. That's why we are afraid.